When you're doing any type of gardening, there's always going to be ups and downs, and I'm no different to anybody else. We all have bad days and good days, but the only thing that you need to concentrate on is not letting that get you down. We can always try again, and we'll learn some valuable lessons along the way. So I've got a couple of things that are doing really well, but I've also got a few things that's not worked out exactly how I planned. So let's go and take a quick look. These are definitely doing good. That's those little gem lettuces that we put in quite recently, and if you remember, there was a couple that didn't look very good, but now we took them out, freed those roots off and planted them in this container. They've picked up straight away. And if you remember, we also set up a flower basket, and that's it now. We only put 4 petunias in there and a dahlia, and that has come on really well in just a week. One thing that wasn't so good was this cucumber plant. We actually lost the plant, so I've been out and I've got another one, and that has put all that top growth on just over the last 4 days, and we definitely need to get a stake in there. But I think what happened is it was a result of some bad winds that we had, and it just didn't recover. I've decided to get this one this time. So they're mini cucumbers. We'll get some sticks put in and make sure that this plant doesn't suffer like the other did. But once again, on an upside, that is this melon plant, and we've now got flowers on it, which is great news. We've got a couple. So this one, again, will get tied to this stick, and then we're going to train it with another longer one so that it's got all the support it needs to start growing that fruit. All those peppers are doing really well. They've put quite a lot of growth on in a short space of time. These are now starting to grow peppers, and so is this one. So they've done really well. Unfortunately, we did lose some of this beetroot. It went to seed, so it grew really tall and started trying to get flowers on top. But it's beetroot, so we can plant some more of that if we want, and we have got the majority of it still left. And that's those carrots that last week were quite tiny. Look how they've picked up. Brilliant. So all those peppers are coming along really well, but there's one here that's actually quite small, and that is doing better still. If you look there, this one has got a pepper growing on it, and it's a good size as well. If I just move that foliage out way, you can see there that that's really come on for such a tiny little plant, and it's full of more flowers, and all them little buds that you can see are potentially more peppers. Back to the downside of things, these are as apple trees, and we've got 2 different varieties, so they cross-pollinate, but we have had a bit of a problem with them. If you look at those leaves, all the leaves are starting to curl, which is a sign that something's not quite right, and especially these at the top. But we've got some really good sized apples on here, so we don't want to be losing this plant. So when we finish having a look round, I'll talk about what could be causing this leaf curl, because it will also happen on your peppers as well. So it's some information that's worth knowing, and a quick fix that won't cost you any money. If you remember, quite recently we transplanted these spring onions. Look how much these have shot up, and we're starting to get bulbs forming already. So these have done brilliant, considering they was in quite a small cell. And they're the rest of the peppers that we grew from seed. Smaller than the others, but they're getting there. And those are as onions. I did mention we lost a couple of onions, but you can see that these are putting on some size now. So at least we're going to get something. And now this container is following suit. The bulbs are starting to swell. And you might notice that at some point your onion tops will fall over, but that's not a problem. That's what they're supposed to do. If you look at these ones, you can see those onions at the back are all stood up, but the ones in front have fallen over, and that means that these onions are now going to start bulbing up. So don't worry about it if this happens to yours. They're not dying at all. And we've carried on removing yellow leaves from the bottom of all these cabbages. We don't want to attract slugs, not at this stage especially. And so far so good. We haven't seen any cabbage white, but if we do, we'll definitely have to net them. There is French beans. They're doing amazing as well. Really starting to bush out and work their way up this obelisk, and they've already got flowers on them. And as carrots, well, these are definitely ready to go. If you look at the size of that carrot top, and there's another one there, and a third one. So we need to keep these covered as always so that they don't turn green. But I think I'm going to be emptying that container very soon. And that's a full-size tomato plant. That's also doing really well. It's over halfway up that obelisk now. And at some point I'm going to cut the top off and try and get it to bush out a bit. And that's his first container of French beans that we did. And that one has really worked its way up that obelisk. No flowers on it at the moment, but I'm pretty sure they're on way. And that's that container of potatoes. This is the first one that we did quite a while ago, so I'm itching to empty that. There's Charlotte, second earlies. And if you see this starting on your leaves, that could be a sign of early blight. So what you want to do with those is break them off and throw them in the bin. Don't put them in compost, because that will live another season. If you remember, we harvested all that salad quite recently, but we've got some more there that we sowed from seed. This one is not looking very good. It got a bit dry this afternoon, but I have watered it all now, so it'll soon pick up. But we've got a nice mixture of different salads in there. So these will get transplanted very shortly, and then we've got new salad on the way. So once again, for his mid-June update, everything is looking amazing. That's his rhubarb, that's coming on as well. But all the plants are doing really well, and we have already took a couple of harvests already. And you can see by what we're growing, there's also a lot more to come, and definitely lots of cherry tomatoes. So a few ups and downs in that container garden, but don't let things like that put you off. We lost a cucumber, but I went straight out and got another one, and it wasn't that big when I purchased it. It was half that size, and it didn't have any of that fresh growth on top either. But because the weather has changed for the better, your plants will last out and grow twice as quick. So even if you lose a plant at this stage, there's still time to replace it, and you'll still get an harvest. I'm holding back on emptying that container of potatoes, or rather I was, until I seen that speckly leaf, and that could be the start of early blight, as I previously mentioned. And blight will spread, and it won't just spread to other potato plants, it'll spread to any member of the nightshade family, so it will spread to peppers as well, and we definitely don't want that to happen. So it's another reason for me to want to have a little dig in that container and see if there's any potatoes of any size, because if there is, I will just empty the whole thing, get that foliage in a bag, and we'll put it in the bin, because we don't want blight spreading or surviving over winter and coming back the following year. But I'm really pleased with the progress of this container garden, considering it's only mid-June. Everything is growing brilliant, and we've already had a couple of harvests. We pulled up all those carrots quite recently, and what we did with those is we just peeled them and then we chopped them into chunks, blanched and froze them. So we've got a couple of bags of carrots. We did, however, keep a few back for dinner, and we also picked loads of those petit pois peas, and we had those peas and those carrots with us dinner, and those peas were really sweet. And as I've said previously, if you're growing peas, you need to keep picking the pods, or them plants will stop producing. But already we're starting to get the benefits of his own homegrown food, and it's still very early in season. So we'll be sowing some more seeds for various things. We'll be planting those little salad plants in replacement of the ones that we've took up. We'll keep his eye on those onions. But one other thing before I go that's really important is the curling of the leaves on those apple trees. That can happen to various plants. You'll see it quite often on plants like peppers, and what usually causes that is aphids. But it's not only that can cause it. So you'd have to take a good look at them and just try and figure out which it could be. But the things that it could be, extremities in temperature, which we are definitely experiencing at the moment. Oh, just while I'm on the subject, if you don't already know, this weekend is going up to 30 degrees. So you might want to stand some of your plants in trays with a bit of watering so they don't dry out. But if you want to water them, I would do them early morning or late afternoon. I do think early morning is best though. They should be alright for the entire day. And if you've got things like hanging baskets, you can buy what they call water globes. And they're just plastic things that you fill with water and you stick them into compost and they gradually feed your plants water. Always handy to have a couple of those, and they're not expensive to buy either. But getting back to the original subject, if it's not the fluctuating temperatures that might be causing that leaf to curl, then it could be a disease. So you'd have to look for speckles on your leaves and things like that, as you saw on that potato plant. Sometimes when you look at a leaf, you might spot something, like veins in the leaves that stand out more than others, or a white coating, which could be powdery mildew. But if it's not any of those, it could also be a nutrient deficiency. So make sure that you're feeding your plants regular. So you can use things like Miracle Grow, we can use tomato feed, or even liquid seaweed. But make sure they're getting a good supply, but not all the time. Once every 12 to 14 days should be enough. If it's not that, it could be the fact that you're either underwatering or overwatering. That could also cause it. But getting back to the aphid problem, it's good to know how to deal with those. You can just blast them off, but sometimes they will come back. They don't always stay away. So what you can do is you can take a spray bottle, fill it with water, just an average size one, and just put half a teaspoon of washing up liquid in there and give it a good mix, and then spray all your leaves. They don't like that. They will fall straight off your plants and they're very unlikely to return. But one thing you do need to bear in mind is predominantly aphids will be underneath the leaves. So if you're looking at your plant, you're not forced to see them. You need to lift your leaf up and have a good look, and I'll guarantee that's where you'll find them. So just blast them all off with that mixture, and then it'll save your plants from getting further damage, because they do tend to suck the life out of those leaves to the point where they'll die off. And at the moment I could not be more pleased with the results that we're seeing. So if you do get any problems, don't let that get you down. There's plenty of time to grow more. Anyway, thank you very much for being part of the channel, as always, massively appreciated. And if you want to see what happens as we approach the end of June, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget your sun cream this weekend. Take care.